Let's make a face part 3 with React and D3 together. We'll discuss getting started with the D3 library, using arc from the D3 shape package, SVG path elements, SVG group elements, and the transform attribute to move things around, using ES6 template literals, and we're going to add the mouth to our face. And finally, you're going to have a new assignment, tweak the face. All right, we're almost there. All we need now is the mouth. The shape of the mouth should be an arc, but unfortunately there's no arc primitive in SVG, but there is an arc helper function from D3 that we can use. D3 is subdivided into multiple packages, and I know for a fact that D3 shape provides the arc primitive, so I just Googled for D3 shape, landed at the GitHub page for D3 shape, and then I'm going to find on this page arc. So this links to the documentation for arcs. We're going to need to pull in the D3 library onto this page. So I'm going to go back to unpackage.com, and I'm going to say unpackage.com/D3. And it looks like this resolves by default to the nice minified build that we want. So I'm just going to copy that and make yet another script tag on this page. Script source equals, and then paste that URL, and then close that script tag. And now, in our index.js, we should be able to say import arc from D3. And just to see if this works, I'm going to say console.log arc. And sure enough, something appears. So it looks like our import has worked correctly. But how do we use this arc function? Here's some useful example code for D3 arc. So what's being referred to as D3.arc here is just arc for us. So this is what we need to do. We need to create an arc generator instance with code that looks something like this. So I'm going to copy this code. I'll get rid of our console.log there. And I'm going to make a new variable called mouth arc. And I'm going to set that equal to, I'm going to paste that code from the documentation page. So that creates a new arc generator and sets up the inner radius, the outer radius, the start angle, and the end angle. What you see here is typical of the D3 API, where this is sort of a constructor function, and then this pattern is called method chaining, where you call a function on this object, you pass it some argument, and it actually returns back the original object, the same thing returned from the constructor. So you can do this chaining pattern where you can set multiple things, and then the thing that's returned by the last function gets assigned to this variable. But luckily it's the same thing that was returned by the constructor. So yeah, that's the pattern of method chaining. The way that we use this arc generator is that we need to create an SVG path element. So in our SVG, I'm going to create a path and then set the D attribute of this to be mouth arc invoked as a function. And I think that should work. Let me just try something. Console.log mouth arc invoked as a function. Okay, it outputs the correct thing, namely this cryptic string that's actually a program in a domain-specific language for SVG paths. It means M means for move to, the X coordinate 6.12, and the Y coordinate -100, or something like that. But we don't really need to understand the details of this language unless we're writing a library like D3 shape. But the thing to understand is this crazy string can be set to the value of the D attribute for an SVG path. So I'll get rid of this console.log. My question now is, why are we not seeing anything? My theory is it might be going off the screen. So let me just try changing end angle to pi times 2. Okay, now we're seeing something here in the corner. And if we change inner radius to be, say, 90, now we're seeing this arc. But the problem now is we want the center of this arc to be the center of this circle. And this is kind of tricky because arcs don't have x and y. But there is this cool thing we can use called an SVG group element. And if you put things inside of an SVG group element and then move the group element, everything inside the group element moves as well. So let me put everything inside of a group element. I'll open the group element like this, and then at the end of everything, I'm going to close the group element like this. Then I'm going to indent everything inside of this group element. Now I'm going to translate everything inside of this group element by center x and center y. And we can do that like this. Transform equals translate. Oh, and this needs to be in curly braces. Translate center x and center y. Now everything moved. See that? Our arc is in the right place, but now our whole smiley face is in the wrong place. But let me just break down what is going on here. These backticks are an ES6 string literal. It's pretty much a string template where you can inject values of variables using this syntax here. $, and then open curly brace, and then close curly brace. So what this is doing, it's producing a string that says translate, and this opening and closing parentheses, it's actually inside the string. See, the transform attribute expects a string that is sort of an expression in a domain-specific language. And one of the valid expressions is translate. You could also say rotate 90. That rotates everything. Or rotate 45. But all we need right now is translate. All right, so now that everything inside of this group element is being translated, we don't need to use center x and center y for these circles anymore. We can just use the default values of 0, meaning we could just get rid of cx and cy for that one. See, now it's in the right spot. And then we don't need center x here, and we don't need center y here, but these should be minus. Okay, there's our left eye, and now let's get our right eye working. We can just delete center x plus, and then delete center y, but then it's going to be minus I offset y. All right, now we're just left with tweaking the mouth arc, which we can do up here. We can say the end angle is going to be, I don't know, let's say pi divided by 2. See, what this is telling us is that the angle of 0 is over here, and then it increases like this counterclockwise. Just to confirm that, I can say end angle is just pi. Oh, I was wrong. This is 0 up there, and then it goes clockwise. Okay, so now we have enough information. We can say the start angle is pi over 2, and then the end angle is pi times 2? No, pi times 3/4? No, pi times 3 over 2. Okay, there we go. All right, we're almost there. We just need to change the inner radius and the outer radius. But I think what I'd like to do is set the outer radius and the inner radius programmatically based on some width. So let me just make a new variable called mouth width. And I want it to be, say, 20 pixels. And I'll make another variable called mouth radius. And this is the one that we can tweak. So I don't know, I'll set it to 200. So the inner radius should be mouth radius, and then the outer radius should be mouth radius plus mouth width. Okay, now we could just tweak mouth radius, and the thickness of the mouth itself should remain constant. All right, so we're getting there. We're getting there. Okay, great. This looks like a smiley face to me. All right, there we have it. That's how you can make a smiley face with React in D3. Now, here is an assignment for you. I'd like you to fork this work in VizHub and tweak it to make a really cool looking face. Part of what I want to teach here is how you can teach yourself to use these technologies, because I'm not going to cover every possible thing you could do with SVG, but I can get you started and provide the foundation for doing really cool stuff. So I would encourage you to, do a Google search for SVG ellipse, SVG lines, SVG rect, maybe even SVG gradients if you want to get fancy, or drop shadows, things like that. I want you to get creative. Maybe do something like add irises to the eyes of the face, or add a nose, or add teeth, or I don't know, make the face a square. It's up to you, but I just want you to fork this face and experiment and be creative. To submit this assignment, just copy the VizHub link and share that in our course Slack channel. Also, please take a look at other students' work and maybe comment on one of the other students' faces. Good luck! That's all for Let's Make a Face Part 3 with React and D3.